Hey everybody, I hope that you're all doing well. We are here with a timeless reading. Before we get started, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with everyone's highest good. What I'm seeing is that you may be setting some new goals for yourself. Like, this can be a time where you're sort of thinking about things like, what do I want to do next, or where am I trying to go, or like, what is my next direction as far as an accomplishment for myself, or do I want to save like X amount of money, or do I want to like finish the poetry book that I'm writing. Something about where you're aiming for, and you sort of analyzing that. We're starting off with the star. So this is already going to be connected with your sense of self, your purpose, why you feel like you're here. I'm seeing you climbing the totem pole. It's like this light that you're following, that you're getting closer and closer to. This also feels like it's reminding me of an awakening of sort, the way that this star card is, because the way that it's set up, it's like this person that's kind of coming up out of the water and climbing this like cylindric thing. See, like the water down here, which can be your more like latent subconscious energy, and you coming up above that into the air, which can mean like moving even from emotion and instinct, or like your subconscious energy, like reminding me of the moon sort of, and then coming up into the air, but then rising towards something that maybe has a bigger purpose, something that feels more, something that you're more aware of, more conscious of. And this is reminding me, see how this person is sort of like swinging around here? It reminds me of a Kundalini awakening. Like there may be something awakening within you. Something that's driving your purpose is what I'm hearing, that you may be more and more aware of, because I'm seeing you very close to reaching something, and it feels like the point of the whole thing. So there, you can be like on the precipice of like a really important epiphany or awakening or knowing within you, remembering. I'm seeing something that energetically looks like ribbon, like a wave. So you're doing something right now that you feel is deeply connected with your purpose. This is like a project or an interest of yours. There can be somebody that you're working with. Getting confirmation of this. There's somebody that you're working with. This can also be a guide. Some of you, this can be someone in 3D, but for others of you, these are your guides that you're working with. It can also be both. How do we move forward? I'm seeing a relationship that you're trying to figure out right now, but there may be something going on that is throwing you off a bit. It just feels like something that's unclear yet at this point, and that may feel a bit disconcerting. Like just the desire for things to be making sense maybe in a way where they're not yet. Whatever it was that you had been doing somewhat regularly before, you may be taking a bit of a break from it, sort of just to back up and observe. It feels like you had been participating in something, and it seems even with like multiple energies, and then I'm seeing you, I don't know, it's like you're in this building with these other energies, and then I'm seeing you kind of exit the building to look in through the window and sort of see what's been playing out. It kind of feels like being a fly on the wall, but it had been something that you had been, it reminds me of like, say you're with your coworkers and stuff at work, and you had been in the middle of the conversation with everybody, and you may have not been so like mindful of what was going on, because it's hard to sort of observe when you're in the middle of playing things out. It's like you had to be on stage with them, okay? But now I'm seeing you kind of move into the audience. So you're sort of watching. You had just previously been on stage, but now you're in the audience sort of watching stuff that's happening. It feels kind of like more of a bystander now. But then I'm seeing you kind of like come back together with everybody. But yeah, taking that step back, I'm seeing having been quite important for you and your process. I'm seeing 3-3 here. This could have also given you direction too. Interesting. So you interact and then you pull back, and then it seems like you go back in, like maybe in a more giving place emotionally, and then I'm seeing you take another break. So there's like this back and forth that I'm seeing. It's like you're with the group and then you're away, and then you're with them again and then you're away. And now I'm seeing you thinking about something that's connected with the 3D here. Like there may be a bit of a transition that you're making. For some of you, you're like following the lead of something, some sort of activity that you're going to be doing. This can also be like somewhat of a practical transition that you're making, like going from doing like one thing to maybe another thing. I'm seeing you kind of be stuck in the space where you've been, but there's like a portal that you're going through. There's a threshold that you're going through. I'm seeing a pentacle like leading you out. See this card, how this person, see how there's a threshold here? So I'm seeing this transition that you're making, and a pentacle is leading you. And to have this be like one pentacle, it reminds me of the Ace of Pentacles, which looks like there is a new beginning, and you sort of know what's on the other side of this portal or this threshold, but you may be stuck in it for some reason still, but you know that you're going to be like climbing out of it. You know there's going to be transition, but this feels like sort of a slow transition where you're going to slowly be crossing this. It's like you may have some stuff. It's like you're going to be transitioning, or you're very slowly transitioning, but you have some stuff to finish up when it comes to what you're involved in right now. And I'm seeing you're still working through something emotionally. So there's like a key piece emotionally that's tied to this for you. It has to do with like all of the options in front of you as well, and sort of like coming to terms with things, because something may still feel unclear about like where you're sort of going next and how that's going to work for you, like practically, in a practical way, because we have pentacles. So it's like, what grounded action do I need to take to get from here to there? Like, what am I going to do about like resources or about housing, stuff like that. Supporting myself. I'm seeing a very big tree here. Maybe spending some time outside. Yes. Practically needing to prioritize and use your discernment. I'm seeing like as much as you're going through something spiritually for you, because I'm seeing this whole process be purpose driven, there are also practical things, because you have to remember as well and be mindful of, like, you're in 3D, so you need to be practical in 3D too. So you can be on like some sort of spiritual mission for yourself, which every mission really is. And there's also needing to like integrate the practicality, that earth energy, into your process as well. Like, how am I going to pay for that? Or how am I going to feed myself? Or which steps do I need to take? I'm seeing someone spinning a basketball on their hand. You know when somebody spins it and is like balancing it? That's what I'm seeing here. You may also be dealing with people around you that maybe like don't understand your vision, but this can also be the part of yourself that's like sort of trying to deal with some sort of negative narrative internally that you're experiencing. Yeah, it feels like mental stuff that you're trying to balance as you're moving through this. This can be like even having thoughts that you're like, oh, I don't feel like this is really supporting me or helping me right now. Like, how am I supposed to maneuver through this mentally? But it just seems like thoughts that may be popping up from, I'm hearing the duality of fear. This can also be associated with just like you breaking out into new feelings that you're experiencing as well, where your body's like trying to adjust and being like, I don't know what this is. Like, is this dangerous? Is this not? As you're sort of growing accustomed and assimilating to the new stuff that you're tapping into. I'm seeing something just be at the beginning stages, but you're learning how to work it. I'm smelling something that it smells like something's being burnt, like wood or something, or just something really heating up here. Or like when the heat hasn't been on for a while and then you turn it on, you know, that sort of like heavy smell that can happen. Like of residue burning. That's what it kind of feels like. Yeah, there's definitely a new skill that you're tapping into that you're still learning how to maneuver. It feels kind of like you've been given maybe another ability that you are just like learning how to work. It seems like it's still the very, very beginning stages of this. I'm getting to, you have other abilities that you know how to use. This feels like an additional thing that's coming up that you're learning. Like, oh, I can do that too. I'm seeing something about sculpture here. All right, let me look at this for a second. You are leaning towards establishments and relationships that bring about stability for you. And I'm seeing you also trying to stabilize something that's connected with your purpose. So you could be like awakening to something that you want to be pursuing right now and maybe where you feel like you belong in this moment, and figuring out how to harmoniously integrate that into your life currently and want to prioritize your passions. But I'm also seeing this need to sort of, I'm hearing relax into it and also reflect on it. Whatever this is that you're interested in pursuing right now, that's, I'm hearing calling to your attention. So it's like calling your attention to it, this thing where when you, this is where I'm seeing that ribbon energy again. It's something that you feel drawn to follow is what I'm hearing. But I'm also seeing that sometimes when you reflect about this, you may sort of get in your head and then you may experience this like negative narrative that you're learning how to work with. Because I'm seeing the Five of Swords here be internal, where sometimes you may avoid reflecting because of that narrative that pops up sometimes where you're like, ugh. It's kind of like getting this flash into your brain and having it be something kind of salty and being like, I don't know how I feel about like hearing that or having to deal with it. And so this feels like integrative shadow work that you're doing, because I'm seeing you learning how to work with it and learning how to transmute it. Here I'm seeing the threes again, the double three. And as you work with yourself, as you integrate rather than push away or avoid, I'm seeing it's help bringing something to balance that may have been out of balance before. But there's a lot of like mental and maybe even physical rest that's needed as you go through this. So it's kind of like, I'm seeing this be like quite a draining process for you, but it's something that your guides are like, just take your time as you move through this. You don't need to go faster than you're ready for. And when you feel like you need to recharge, take the time to do that, because I'm seeing a lot that you're in the midst of like learning how to do. And I'm seeing it be not the most straightforward process. It has not been the easiest process because you are currently in the midst of a transition. But I'm seeing you've been making like so much progress here. So if you're asking, like, am I making progress with my purpose, with my path? Yes, you are, definitely, big time. I'm also seeing too, for a lot of you, you might be feeling like more isolated than usual. It's kind of like you have opportunities to connect with other people, but then you also have a lot of time that you've sort of been spending on your own or just feeling isolated. So you may be oscillating between the two of these. It's definitely, there is like quite a composition here that I'm seeing within your energetic travels, is what I'm hearing. So I'm just seeing your guides encourage you to continue, and also telling you that right now is just going to feel strenuous. And so take your time as you move through this, because I'm seeing these like resting and reflecting periods be very, very important, just as important as the ones where you're initiating and taking action. So make sure that like the composition is right for you energetically, that when you're seeing a red light, you're not trying to drive through it, you know, that you're stopping, that you're pausing and feeling that out. There is something new that's being integrated into this process for you, but I'm seeing it still be unclear, like maybe what this is or how to work it, but it's going to be coming to light. And more is going to be revealed as you continue through this transition. But I'm getting like, you know what you need to know for now, and more is going to be making sense. I'm seeing a huge, huge crystal here. Okay. And yeah, it just being confirmed again that you're definitely making progress with your path and your purpose and your mission. All right. This feels very much like a current energetic check-in. So yeah. I'm looking at Aquarius and Libra, Virgo. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.